Congress is going to have more UFO hearings in July. In other news, it's time for a UFO news roundup. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, let's just get right to it. Here we go. Lawmakers aim to have bipartisan UFO hearing in July. UFO whistleblowers spoke out earlier this month about non-human spacecraft. David Grush says the U.S. government has recovered this craft for decades. I think they mean these craft for decades. Some lawmakers now want to investigate UFOs further, and I think that is really the highlight. Lawmakers are getting involved in this. Some of them seem to still be engaged in the cover-up, and some of them want to push forward, and that is very exciting. A Republican representative says lawmakers are planning a UFO hearing on UFOs, which will tentatively be held sometime toward the end of July. So we had to be a little patient, but at least it's not September, which is one of the early rumors that I had been hearing. Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida told News Nation on Wednesday the hearing is likely going to be bipartisan led and in her home state. I actually heard might be two hearings, one on Capitol Hill and one in Florida. And the one in Florida may have more witnesses. And the one on Capitol Hill will be more focused. That's what I'm hearing. You know, it's still early days and that could change. This hearing comes after David Grush, a former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, spoke to Ross Coulthart about his time in Congress's U.A.P. task force, which was recently renamed ARROW. Speaking of Florida, Tim Burchett retweeted this with a U.A.P. James's tweet where he says, Representative Tim Burchett and Matt Gates appear to have attended a classified U.A.P. briefing on a military base in Florida on February 21st. They were apparently shown images of 4 UFOs with abnormal heat signatures flying closely next to a U.S. military aircraft. And I remember at the time, both of them alluding to this. And I think Matt Gates even said something about jets intercepting a UFO, and I was really interested to know more about that incident. And apparently, just reading from this, they were apparently shown images of 4 UFOs with abnormal heat signatures flying closely next to a U.S. military aircraft. Does this mean they were being escorted by the aircraft? Because I've run several stories recently talking about planes escorting UFOs, and there was one case that I talked about just a couple of days ago where there was a giant UFO the size of a football field, if not larger, that was being escorted by planes. Why do planes need to escort giant UFOs? I mean, this thing can fly on its own. What are the planes going to do? I maybe they're ferrying people back and forth, but I don't quite get that impression. But yeah, so yeah, what do you think, guys? Why are the planes escorting giant UFOs? But anyway, I thought that was an interesting clarification, and because it was retweeted by Tim Burchett. So yeah, and we have other lawmakers talking about this sort of stuff. Let's see. Here we go. Here's Josh Hawley. What does he have to say?
Government has admitted that there have been all kinds of unidentified aerial platforms, I think they now call them, that there have been all sorts of sightings of these over the years that are unaccounted for. In other words, we don't know what they are exactly. And this has been around our military bases, around other sensitive installations, nuclear power plants. So the degree of the number of these is apparently huge. And that is something that the government has, the best I can say about it, downplayed, if not kept, I think, from the public for a long, long time. Government has admitted.
So there you go. You have lawmakers talking about UFOs and also talking about the government cover-up. And I think that is very exciting. And of course, there's been more than just a cover-up. Here's Paul Hillier quoting Jim Sparks, a famous UFO abductee, Paul Hillier is reading from his book about the section on Jim Sparks, and this is actually what the beings have to say, and this will give you some insight, potentially, into just how big the cover-up is and what it means.
They continue, and now this is quoting the ETs. There are some things you need to understand. Yes, it's true that we have been in contact with your government and heads of power. It is also true that it is also true that agreements have been made and kept secret from your people. It is also true that in the past some of your people have lost their lives or have been badly hurt to protect the secret. Our hands had no part in this. We contacted your leaders because your planet is in grave trouble. Your leaders said the vast majority of your population wasn't ready for anything like us yet. So we made time agreements with your leaders as to when your people would be made aware of our presence. That part of the agreement has not at all been kept. It was also agreed that in the meantime, steps would be taken to correct the environmental conditions of your planet with our advice and technology. We say advice, quote unquote, because we respect the fact that this is your planet, not ours. They also broke that agreement. This is Jim now, I felt an awful wave of emotion from them.
Okay, there you go. The aliens want to protect the planet, and they've been working with our governments to do that. And they also want to come out and disclose to the public, according to what they told Jim Sparks. Now, if you watched enough of my videos, you will know that I love what the ETs have to say. I've made a great study of what the ETs tell people. Now, I think that's our best glimpse behind the curtain. Unfortunately, the ETs they don't always tell the truth. They are not consistent in what they tell people. Sometimes they outright contradict themselves. So, take anything the beings say with a grain of salt. But this does give you some idea that ETs may have been working with the government. If nothing else, they certainly wanted to give Jim Sparks the impression they had been working with the government. However, from other research I've shared with you, it strongly does appear, from human sources, not the ETs telling this to people, that indeed the ETs have been working with the control group. So I don't want to say the government. Definitely there is part of the government, but it's even beyond the government. So anyway, so that will give you some idea as to the cover-up and the nature of the cover-up and the reason for the cover-up, because it is vast and it is deep. More news. Senate committee is advancing new language seeking possible secret UFO tech programs. Yeah, well, bring it. Let's find those suckers. The Intelligence and Armed Services Committees of the U.S. Senate appear to be stepping up their efforts to uncover any secret programs that may exist to study devices or manufactured material of unearthly origin. On June 14th, 2023, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence approved an Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 that contains UAP-related language proposed by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who apparently expects to win approval of compatible language in the Senate Armed Services Committee within days. Gillibrand sits on both committees. The text of Gillibrand's amendments have not yet been made public, but she revealed her general intent in an interview with Matt Laszlo of Wired. Laszlo reported that the senator intended to seek approval on the FY 2024 National Defense Authorization Act of a mandate that no money can be spent on special access programs unless it's been reported to Congress. And it goes on. Well, let's see what Gillibrand says here. So if there are SAPs, special access programs out there that are somehow outside of the normal chain of command and outside the normal appropriations process, they have to divulge that to Congress. She also said we need to just look into whether there are rogue SAP programs that no one is providing oversight for. The goal for me will be to have a hearing on that at some point so we can assess if these SAPs actually exist. Now, based on her last hearing with the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, I don't have any faith in a Senator Gillibrand run hearing. However, I'm really encouraged that at least she is doing something. She's looking for these special access programs. If this is a sincere effort on her part, and this isn't just lip service to doing something, then that will be very exciting, and that may be evidence that she hasn't been compromised. You know, Tim Burchett said people on both sides of the aisle in Congress had been compromised on the UFO issue. Based on the hearing with Kirkpatrick, where she didn't ask him any tough questions and she just accepted blindly whatever nonsense he was saying, when he was saying there was no evidence of ETs or craft that could perform in ways that defied the known laws of physics. She didn't push back on that. She didn't say, hey, where's all those videos that we know that you have? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? She didn't ask any of those tough questions, or just even basic questions. I'm not even asking her for tough questions. Tough questions can come in the second hearing, but that first hearing, we should have had some basic questions. She didn't even ask that, which strongly hints that she's been compromised. You know, she's one of these compromised people that Tim Burchett said. However, I would love for that not to be the case. I was really hoping that she would emerge as a heroine of UFO disclosure. And she is doing something that may prove that she is or can be. You know, if she can, get these secret special access programs brought into the light or defund the bad ones, that would be really cool, right? So, fingers crossed that things go forward on that and that actually results in something tangible. Okay, last piece of news for the day. Pentagon unable to confirm or deny discovery of materials originating from non-human intelligences or unknown origin within secretive programs. Right? The Pentagon is unable to confirm or deny whether its UFO office, known as AARO, has discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any current or former U.S. programs have had possession or reverse engineered materials from non-human intelligences or unknown origin. Susan Goff said, to date, AARO has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of ET materials have existed in the past or exist currently. But when pushed whether the term extraterrestrial could extend to materials of unknown origin or non-human intelligences, Goff declined to go beyond the existing on-record statements. So there's a little wiggle room there, right? And that is interesting and possibly important. But whether the wiggle room exists there for a reason or not, there is a blanket denial coming from the Pentagon. Even as Congress, or elements of Congress, especially in the House, are pushing disclosure forward. And, again, we may have some hope left in, Kirsten Gillibrand and Marco Rubio in the Senate. Well, time will tell. At the moment, I'm not, I think the Senate and the Pentagon are pretty much out of the picture as far as disclosure goes. But, again, I would love to be proven wrong on the Senate, at least. I don't expect anything out of the Pentagon or AARO. Unfortunately, AARO was founded, I firmly believe, as a sincere effort to probe this mystery and to reveal as much as possible to the public. But it has been co-opted by the powers that be to do the same, to perpetuate the same cover-up that has always existed. And, as I showed you the clip from Hillier, and, the quote from Jim Sparks and his abduction experience, what the ETs told him, and also the general reporting that I've done over the months, showing there is a vast involvement with the ETs, human involvement with the ETs. We're shooting at some UFOs and we're working with occupants of other UFOs. We are pawns, possibly, in some sort of cosmic war or conflict. And, I pray that we have chosen the right side. I think that the control group who has engaged in secrecy and nefarious dealings for many decades is capable of having chosen the right side? No. No, I do not. That's why the public needs to be involved in this. That is a fundamental reason why disclosure is so important, is because the public needs to be involved in things that are going to possibly determine the fate of humanity. I mean, this is big stuff. This is important stuff. Our voices need to be heard, and this cover-up is detrimental to possibly the fate of humanity. But that's just me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this UFO news roundup, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. If you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link below. You can leave a super chat. If you like fantasy and science fiction books, buy one of my books, link in the description below. And there are plenty of other videos for you to check out on the channel. And until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.